Welcome to the MMA for Money show. In this special edition Sunday show, we will hit a few of the MMA headlines as well as a little bit of background on the show as a whole for all you new people we've gotten over these last couple weeks. Because some of you don't know us from your neighbor, but you're about to. I am Bob Boss, your favorite garbage man at MMA State of Mind, here with Real Mike Copenaver at Don't Cope Just Win, and Mikey Gilman at Mikey Gills. That's Gills with a Z. Follow the show on Twitter at MMA4Money Show. You can also find it on Haps at that same address. Real Mike, how are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, man. Stoked to be here to talk about a little bit more UFC and some drama, and just get into that.
What about you, Mike Gills? How's life? How's it feeling being like Johnny Tsunami right now?
Man, we have a massive snowstorm going on in Maryland right now. I've been shoveling the snow all day, and if you're following my Twitter last night, I'm a little hungover, but we're going to get through that together. Let's go. I'm psyched.
Yeah, we've had a bit of a snowstorm here. I did a second round of snow removal before we did this show, but you know what? Between snowblower and some shoveling, we got it done. Okay, we got it done. But the MMA show...
I saw more buckets of snow going on. That's what I saw, Bob.
Well, that's true. What you guys don't know is that we made a fantastic snow fort using some buckets and some snow, and it's been fantastic. Hello, Vince Guzman, Mr. Top Commenter there. How you doing? I already said hi to you in the chat. We are here. By all means, everyone hop in the chat, talk to us. If you have additional questions, we'll try to fit them in when we can. This is not a review show or anything like that. We're trying to let this one flow, get engagement. Let's do this. The MMA for Money show is here, live on Haps. This app has given us our two biggest shows to date over the last 2 weeks. We got a big bump, that big Conor McGregor bump, and it's consistent through the next week. We're hoping for that to keep going. Hello, Jackie Girl from Kansas City. Hello, Jamie B. How are you doing? What is Haps? Some of you may not know this. Obviously, all of you watching on Haps know, but if you're listening to this podcast later or YouTube, what is Haps? Haps is a new platform that makes it super easy to simultaneously broadcast to all social media channels. If you download and subscribe to Haps, you will get 100 free coins for joining, which you can use to support our show. You can give us awards and coins in here, and we could do it right back at you in broadcasts that you might have. So we're going to do a few things different in this one. Obviously, we haven't done this in a long time since it's in early levels of the show, but we're going to do a little bit of headline talk. We used to do that on shows, but then we realized that was a bit of a time suck, but we got some free time here to get in some headline discussion, and then after that, we're going to get a little bit of history, a little bit of facts about us. We're going to talk about how the show came to be. We're going to talk about how Mikey Gills joined the show. We're going to talk about how me and Mike ended up on the show. We're going to hit all of those things. But first, we're going to get some headline discussions. So I'm going to tell you one of those headlines, you people watching. Some of you in the MMA sphere have seen these. You have heard these. We're going to talk about them. We're going to get everyone's takes and have a little bit of discussion there. So the first one. Oh, yeah, we're not used to a two-timer this week. Yeah, neither are we. We don't always do this. We almost never do this unless we have wonderful interviews like we've had.
Don't tell my lady, Jimmy.
I've been called a two-timer since like college.
Absolutely. But so actually, if you want to go back, really anytime we've done a secondary show, it's been fantastic because they've usually been interview shows. We've had Ken Shamrock on twice and Casavo Lopez on twice. He's actually coming. He's going to be fighting soon, so we'll try to throw him in there. Plans for the Ultimate Fighter in the works. Sorry, I'm laughing at the chat. Oh, Ryan Richardson.
Well, the Ultimate Fighter plan. That's like a lot of people are trying to angle for like the Connor Nate or whatever, Connor Dustin, any one of those. I'm in for either of them, but
I think that would be the really only way they would save the show is those two going back and forth the whole time. Everyone else can't maintain that level of trash talk for that long, other than those two. Okay, so the first bit of news in real notes, if you haven't seen it, is we're going to talk about the Megan Anderson, Casey Kenny debacle, but in my opinion, it's the Sean O'Malley debacle. So if you would, Mikey Gills, just explain broad strokes what happened, your opinion on it, then we'll go to Real Mike, and then I will talk about it.
All right, so first things first, it has to be said that what Casey Kenny said wasn't nice. Like that, you have to start off with that. It was definitely not something that you want to hear. But if you watch the flow of the show, we were talking about Sean O'Malley. He really kind of put Casey Kenny on the spot with that. And I think really what happened is I don't want to excuse it too much and make it seem like, oh, like that's perfectly fine what he said. But it was kind of a moment of guy talk. And I think that if you're somebody like Casey Kenny, you're maybe not, super used to an interview session like that. You're not a big star is what I'm getting at. And he looked like he got caught a little off guard with that. And again, guy talk, speculating. This is more on Sean O'Malley, but what do you guys like? There's more points I want to get to this, but what do you guys think about just that as far as his initial answer?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you would ask me that question, I would have gave you a much worse answer than Casey Kenny gave over there. Because so you mean to tell me that people can't have a choice on what they find attractive, bro? It's
Yeah.
crazy. I'm sorry, I personally don't find women attractive that are bigger than me, bro. I'm sorry, bro. I'm 5'10". She's fucking beyond 5'10" or more, bro. I just don't find that attractive. Like, I don't go through porn and look for girls my size. I really don't. I look up. You shouldn't even want to see what I look up. Okay, but the point is that Casey Kenny had an opinion. The opinion is he didn't fare for her well. It shouldn't have been put out. That's guy talk. It's locker room talk. It doesn't need to be put out. You know, it's Sugar Sean's fault in general. But the real shame of the show is Sugar. It was ridiculous, the dumb shit that he said while he was holding what I think is his son or baby in his
Daughter.
arms.
That's his daughter, man.
Oh, it's daughter, man. It's disgusting. I mean, no disrespect to people who have drug problems and stuff like that, but dude, you're a loser, bro. You're holding the future of your generation of your life in your arms, and you're talking about how you're justifying heroin. What, bro, dude? I can't wait for you to get pieced up and leg kicked after you do some heroin. Those legs will be primed up and ready to go. But it is what it is. And Megan Anderson, like I said, she's not that bad, but she ain't that good. There's a bunch of other girls in the UFC that I much rather fox with on that night. Sorry.
Well, and quick, I'll do my take, and then we can go back through, obviously, because, like you said,
there's other layers.
There's other layers to this. My thing with this is, so you pick a fighter who, if you know anything about Megan Anderson on Twitter, she searches her own name.
Yeah.
And she will block anyone who says anything remotely bad. So now you're a fighter who's being interviewed about her, and you are just going to go off that way. And honestly, like we've talked about, that is not the overarching thing that bothered me about all of this. And I don't know if I'm in the minority. The fact that Sean O'Malley, who has I don't know if he's surrounded himself with yes men and slowly worked his way down. Quick pause. Thank you, Ryan, for the high five award. Appreciate that. I shout everybody. I don't even care. But he's surrounded by yes men, and he is just moving down a bad path, man. I'm sorry. Yeah. The fact that he's just like, you know what? I don't see why you wouldn't try heroin. Are you a wuss for not trying heroin? I tried heroin. And again, this entire time, this is why I'm Duran. Obviously, I have kids. Obviously, if this doesn't come up, he's saying all these ridiculous, horrible things on his own podcast while he's holding his infant daughter. And he completely sets up Casey Kenny, because Casey Kenny is nowhere near as popular as Sean O'Malley. So he's trying to get that Sean O'Malley rub. He's trying to get that Sean O'Malley information. He's trying to because if Sean O'Malley is your guy, obviously the UFC has pushed Sean O'Malley crazy. He has an unjustified social media account because of the UFC, in my opinion. And Casey Kenny wants a little bit of that shine. So he's going to say whatever's going to make Sean O'Malley happy. He should realize that it's being recorded, and he's spurting it out there to someone who the littlest bit of saying anything bad about you. Okay, I know we've referenced him before, but everyone on the show and most people watching this know who James Lynch is. He's a fantastic broadcaster from Canada, does tons of YouTube videos. I've done shows with him in the past. He's a great guy. And he has just stated normal information about her, about a past performances she's had, and then she's lambasted him, let alone another random fighter who's going to be on a fight card with her. And again, I mean, this all comes around to the fact that, I'm sorry, real Mike, that you're only 5'10". That's sad.
It is what it is.
I had to bring it around because
damn.
I know that cut deep, but
hey, it doesn't cut deep because I can take guys that are 6'4" down real fast and make them smaller than me.
Oh, dude, I bet you could do that to me in about 2 minutes. But currently we have half a country blocking us from that happening. Thank you, Jackie Girl, for the award there. So I know we kind of obviously didn't hit this full circle, but.
Well, there's other point. I'm sorry, you're going to get to something else, right?
No, that was just pretty much all my I was just so disgusted by that other part that the first part I didn't even borderline even care about. I was just too taken back by the second part.
There is, like I said, this is a multi-layered thing, and this next part has to be said, and it's a bit controversial, but it is something that's worth noting. this whole thing with Megan Anderson, and it's kind of a commentary on MMA as well. Like I had to get the stuff about Casey Kenny and Sean O'Malley out of the way first, so I could get to this next part, which is Megan Anderson is the type of fighter, she posts thirst traps all the time. And like,
Yes.
if you are a female fighter who is selling sex, you at some point have to prepare yourself for a negative Yelp review, which is kind of like what no, it's a joke, but it's not, like
It's true. It's true as shit.
yeah. And she's going off with that. Then there's the other thing. She's saying, oh, like, is this what I have to be subjected to with coworkers, blah, blah, blah. Like, I know it's a thing in MMA, but these are independent contractors, and fighters say horrible things about each other all the time. So in terms of like, did this cross the line in terms of like saying something about a coworker? I can't really say that, not in this sport anyway. Like if I said it at my job, yes, but not particularly in this one. This is kind of like everybody needs to settle down a little bit and kind of just take it for what it was, in my opinion. This isn't something that Casey Kenny should be reprimanded for. I think at worst, maybe recuse himself from that fight card. But if I'm Dominic Cruz, I don't want him off that fight card. I want this in his head. I want him to feel weird the whole time they're at the venue. But I don't know. For me, the Megan Anderson thing with posting things and selling sex, you are opening yourself up for that is kind of my overarching theme right there. But I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's hard. Casey Kenny shouldn't just I've taken him off that. I mean, he should have realized that they're fighting on the same card. And I completely agree with you about Megan Anderson. It's just like, given the stuff that's put out, you can't get overly upset in that regard. But it's been the entire time she's been within the UFC that even remotely negative comments will just her lambaste everybody. Past opponents, if they say something, she'll go after them. Anyone in the media, she blocks everybody. And like I said, she searches her name on every social media, even if she's not tagged or anything like that. Like if you type right now, you're blocked. Well, that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. It is what it is. Like, she couldn't handle the heat long ago, bro.
See, I've only ever been blocked by one person, but Travis Brown, I understand. Like, it makes sense that he blocked me.
Do you remember
I know exactly what for. I could show you later. But
when I have a mental edge over someone, they definitely block me. And so Dominic Cruz is one of those guys. I know he ain't about that real life hard shit, dude.
You have gone off on Dominic Cruz like every chance you get.
He's so soft, bro. You know what? We'll get to this right now. Okay, we'll get it. We have time finally. Okay. My brother lived at Brandon Vera's house, okay, one of his extra houses. And so it was my brother, Toby Mata, who took out George Gamebred Masvidal with the inverted triangle choke while he was standing. And then so Dominic Cruz was there as well. This is when he came from Arizona just as a wrestler. He literally couldn't afford anything but peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for real, okay? And I, being the chef I am, come over there with carne asada, steak, everything I love to do, right? And and I'll feed everybody. And so he was lucky that he was there, so I'd feed him all the times. Well, we used to watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre all the time in the theater room in the garage and smoke weed and just chill. And so, dude,
another Jonathan Tucker movie for
dude, Dominic Cruz would come in there and be like, come on, guys, again, dude, I don't want to watch a scary movie, bro. Like, I just don't see why it's stupid. And just make excuses about why it gives them nightmares. So we go over to Hooters to have some wings, and by the time we get back, bro, we come back to watch the fucking movie because we want to see Jessica Biel, looking good. And we come back, and dude, the movie's gone. It's nowhere to be found. And that why? Because he's seriously so scared of horror flicks and stuff and bad dreams and whatever ghost haunted him when he was little. It is what it is, bro. Like I said, he's still a good fighter, but dude, when the reality and real street shit, he's soft, bro.
Yep. I mean, so all that talk about so about Casey Kenny.
Yeah,
I know that's who he's fighting.
Me fired up.
I don't know. I don't see how it affects Casey Kenny, honestly. Like, I mean, it's not like that she is, as much as she's fighting for a title, it's not like she's a UFC golden girl that they're going to try to go to bat for and get rid of Casey Kenny. It's like Casey Kenny has much more of an upside at bantamweight than she has at 145. It's ridiculous. So, I mean, like I said, my biggest issue with the whole thing is not that those comments were said, because podcasts, those thoughts, those... Everyone just tries to blame it on locker room talk, but at some point, it's like, you're being recorded, so it's going to get out there. But I more have an issue with the stuff that he said, and then the stuff he said about the heroin while holding his infant daughter. That is just like, I cannot abide by that. I'm not okay with that. That just instantly soured me to him, even more so than him saying that he didn't lose his last fight. Those two things together, like, I'm sorry, I can never be a Sean O'Malley guy anymore. It's not
Right.
like he can go on like a career defining run. And he's going to be one of those guys that I'm always going to look for spots to bet against, just on principle at this point.
100%. Yep. With you.
Anything more on that, or can we move on to more sadness?
I've already said enough career ruining stuff. So,
I don't know.
no.
Speaking of career, well, not career ruining. Speaking of legacy ruining stuff, so with a heavy heart, I guess. If you haven't seen, BJ Penn is having more legal trouble, another DUI, and on top of that, he has a litany of lawsuits and arrests against him in the last, I think it's 18 months specifically. And I don't know, man. I guess I've heard a few people's take, and I agree with this. He needs to leave Hawaii. I know he's Mr. Hawaii, or at least leave whatever island he's on, because he has so many, going back to the yes men of Sean O'Malley, he's got always been surrounded by yes men. And the fact that you're just letting him constantly just get obliterated and wasted and driving or getting into fights with men about town is ruining any semblance of his name, in my opinion, which is rough to say because he's one of the original stars of the sport. We went with Mike and Gills last time, so real Mike thought on that. I know you always rep the Hawaiians, but I don't know, this one's getting rough.
Yeah, there's nothing with this one. It's just what can you say, man? It's just a fall from grace. It's nothing that you want to see from anyone. But I don't even like speaking about it, really, man.
Yeah. I mean, talking about like him in Hawaii, like he is a god in Hawaii. And at some point you have to realize, like, what if the guy around you is so famous and so revered, like if he says he wants to go to the bar and drink and he's a god to you, how do you say no to God? You know, like this is, take a look at what BJ Penn used to do. Like he would get in trouble as a kid, and what happened? His family had to send him away from Hawaii. That's how he got started in BJJ, got sent to California, and that's how he got started in training. He doesn't have anybody in his life that can tell him to do that now. Like who's going to tell him, like, no, BJ, we can't go to the bar, we can't drink today. And there's no light at the end of the tunnel for BJ Penn. He doesn't have a career to look forward to now. He doesn't have that future that he had when he was younger. He's 42 years old. He's the oldest 42 of pretty much anybody that you can name. Since 2009, he has won 9-1 as a professional fighter. He's lost 7 straight. He hasn't looked good since the mid-second round of John Fitch, like a fight where he
CTE, bro. Sad.
Yeah, no. And right now, what you're seeing is like his team and his family are failing him. Like we might talk wrestling on the show at some point. I'm a huge wrestling guy. I've seen this 1,000 times. When those cheers go away, when there's no more spotlight on you, you have nothing left to do with your time but to drink, but to smoke, but to, not that any of those things are bad by themselves, but if that's all you're doing all day, every day, and you don't have anything to work towards, that's when things start to fall off the rails. That's when you start getting arrested, fighting with cops, fighting in bars, getting knocked out in parking lots. The stuff that we're seeing from BJ Penn right now is it's sad. That's kind of the main thing, is like he's going out right now like one of the 80s wrestlers that I've seen, and I just don't want him to keep going down that path, because at the end of it is arrest or death.
Yeah, I mean, Vince Guzman there in the chat has a good point. I agree with him. I think he does need to change his scenery. I don't know what that means. I agree he needs it, and obviously this is not the old UFC where they used to be able to hire one of these guys to like go to events, but even him going to events would probably not be good because you got nothing but fans around him egging him on for all this craziness. But he has a good question there, and I want to ask you guys this. Do you think at this point, with how things have happened in the last probably 2 years, do you think he's ruining his UFC career?
I'm sorry.
His legacy, I guess.
Undercut for a second. Is he destroying his UFC career at this point after these past 2 years?
His career's over. His legacy is taking a hit for sure. But
yeah, the legacy is just it's getting rough to keep up there. It's sad too because man, he's such a great dude in person, and like I said, I it's really unlike how he was back in the day. So I really think the CTE changes you. It changed my brother a lot. He had his brain scanned while he's been in prison, and he had tremendous even CTE himself. So there was lesions on his brain on something that my brother when they did it. So either way, I'm concerned with BJ Penn for the future. He has a very well off family in Hawaii, and I just it's the respect for the family. He's fall from grace from that, and that's kind of sad. But like I said, I love BJ, all the Islanders, and I hope the best for him, and I hope that he can somehow get some help.
Yeah, no, we're just talking about one more thing about his legacy. You look back at it. I was there live for a with Kenny Florian. That was UFC 101 in Philadelphia. He dominated him, and he said he took him out at the end. He's like, a good champion would have gone to decision. A great champion will finish him. And he has the next fight against Diego Sanchez. Then he fights the Frankie Edgar, and that fight completely ruined him. Comes out for that rematch. He was never the same guy again. Knocks out Matt Hughes, 21 seconds. It's not even a fight. And after that, there's the John Fitch fight we just talked about. Then 7 straight losses over the course of a decade. I mean, his legacy, he can ride off that lightweight streak for a long time, but those losses at the tail end of his career, plus these arrests, it's not going to look good for him. So, it sucks.
Definitely not. We're going to move on only because, I don't know, got to move away from the sadness at some point. And the rest of the show, pretty much after that point, isn't sad. So we just got to get that stuff out of the way, and then we can get to more entertaining stuff. I understand that's down. I will calm everyone down. Santiago Ponzinibbio. Santiago Ponzinibbio. That's our mantra. It helps cool us down. So next up, it's just my question for both of you guys. I know I have my take. It's a fairly simple take, but and we'll go with Mikey Gills first this time. What should Conor McGregor do? Obviously, he just lost. Camp and training wise, going forward after a loss like that. I mean, I know he was close a little bit at the beginning. He rocked Dustin, but going forward, what do you think?
Honestly, and this is, it's almost going against what I said because I kind of put an indictment on his camp on our last show, but I really don't think he should change a whole lot. His camp has shown that with rematches, he does make very good adjustments in people, and I think all he really needs to do is get back in there and keep fighting regularly. Dominic Cruz and whoever else can say that ring rust isn't a real thing, but it is. It's always been a thing, and especially for somebody like Conor. But we're talking about what he should do with his camp. If you go back and watch that fight, you can see he tried to land that lead right uppercut punch that he was throwing, the one that he rocked Dustin with in the first round. He tried to throw that a couple of more times throughout that fight. So obviously his camp saw something, and it was an effective strategy. They obviously didn't see the calf kicks coming, but again, his camp has shown that they can make those adjustments. So I don't know. Dustin hurts him with a punch. I just don't think Conor is not that far off, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. And I think if he fights Dustin again, I still think it's a super competitive matchup. Like I said that Dustin was tailor-made for him going in that. Honestly, still kind of is. And if the old Conor can show up, a more polished Conor who has a little better defense, I don't think he needs to change that much. What do you guys think?
Well, just quick pause one there. Quick shout out to Dr. Maria. They're hopping in our chat. They're from Twitter. Thanks for hopping in. Really appreciate that. Real Mike, where do you think Conor should go? Training wise or weight class or really anything? Like, where do you think he would have success going forward?
I really think that his best shot is to fight Nate Diaz for a third time and get some kind of fame back, and then probably retire, man. I mean, did you see him chilling on that yacht on some of those embedded episodes, bro? I mean, I don't get jealous often. I got a great life, man. I literally have so many wonderful things. I wake up, have coffee, kind of do whatever I want, invest and do other things, grow food. So, but I get jealous when I saw that motherfucker walking around on his yacht, drinking his coffee. I don't know why, bro. I was so jealous. I don't even get jealous often, but I was just like, that dude's just literally chilling on a yacht that's worth more than like 10 of my houses, drinking coffee, chilling like a G. That sounds like a way more fun life, and selling proper 12 whiskey and doing all those other things. Unless he learns, not just him, but unless everyone starts checking leg kicks properly and effectively, this is going to be a major problem for people with smaller legs, like I've talked about in the past. Guys like Sugar Sean O'Malley, like I've even talked about and brought up, and it ended up affecting him. And other like Cheeto Vera's got some small legs. Nate Diaz has some small front legs, and ain't no haterade. It's just the facts. Those legs, like the calves, the nerves, everything's so much closer. I just think that unless he starts learning how to check them, I think it's too late when you're this rich. You're just not going to be that mean guy anymore. And so I don't know, man. It is what it is.
Quick hello. We got Randy Horton in the house. How are you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, man? I'm just waking up, and I seen you guys had some invites out, and I said, man, if I don't come in here first thing, I would feel like a devil.
Well, appreciate you hopping in. I know it's real early by you. What's it, like 7 a.m. right now?
Yeah, it's a little after 7, but I'm on my first cup of coffee. What's happening, guys?
Yeah, good morning,
Come
Randy.
on, man.
Well, I appreciate
what
you got
kind
the
of-
sunlight. As you can tell from my window, I got the darkness creeping in on me in the winter here.
Yeah.
Is it
it's nighttime
February
here.
1st there yet?
Did you did you have
Not
it
yet.
no, February 1st? Not yet.
All right, I'm into the 2nd, so I'm an advanced time zone here.
We got about 5.5 hours for that. We're gonna party. It's Royal Rumble and then February. Let's go.
There you go. It's going to be the first 5.5 hour MMA money show. Where your mouth is. Let's go.
Seriously.
Well, that is intense right there. I'm not going to lie. Well, I mean, if you want to throw in, I know you might not be a huge MMA fan just in general, but I mean, I know he's kind of transcends the sport. Obviously, Conor McGregor just lost in somewhat embarrassing fashion. What do you want to see him do going forward? Randy.
And I'm so lost on that, but it's kind of shameful that he lost because his name throwing it out every time is beautiful. When
Yeah.
somebody that big and that tall falls, it's like, oh man, what happened?
I know,
Now,
exactly.
who do I switch to? I always support the winner. Who's the next guy?
Well, that's a good point, especially when you're talking about trying to hook a casual audience in. I mean, somebody like Conor McGregor loses too many fights. He's lost 3 of his last 4 professional fights, and the only win he has lasted 40 seconds. That's tough to keep that going for people that just kind of like on the outside looking in, like, well, how good is this guy? Like, I've called him the Oscar De La Hoya. That's what happened to him at the end too. So
Yeah, well,
I like the way.
I was going to say for the
Sorry,
casual fans, like for someone like Randy, the next guy to watch, like I've said for a long time, is Israel Adesanya.
yes,
He's just absolutely unreal in the way he strikes. He's the best striker in the UFC by far. There's no one even close to him, and he's just now kind of has that Conor effect.
Yeah, I like it when they all go out as a winner. You see a lot of big fighters; they disappear, whether it's heavyweight boxing or cage fighting. And I like the ones that they're at the top of their game and say, you know what, I'm going to leave that legacy on paper and step down.
yeah.
Hey, so since you do a lot of traveling abroad, since I've always was fond of Egyptian pyramids and stuff like that. How is the culture and other in like cities like Dubai and Saudi Arabia and stuff like that? Is it a lot of fun to have meals there and stuff?
Yeah, of course. That's why I've gained about 100 pounds.
Depending what you're eating, that's good weight.
Yeah, it's a good food. Actually, the thing that America and you guys are actually throwing out, you don't realize you're throwing out something and you're exporting something that is American. Our culture is the #1 export. And between the fighting and between the music and the words and shows like this right here, this is what America's about. I mean, you guys coming together, discussing things. It's just a wonderful thing, and people really enjoy it, man.
Yeah, and what's cool about Dubai and some of the Saudi places is that they're embracing blockchain technology, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and stuff like that at such a fast level. It's going to be really exciting for the future to see those cities advance.
Yeah, they're embracing a lot of things that we're doing throughout, all our society. Even boxing, there's so many things and events that they hold throughout Dubai and throughout Saudi. There's a big event in the U.S. Oh, we need that here. Let's go for it. And that's kind of nice.
100% on that one. I mean, I don't know this really at all because I know I'm not. And I know Real Mike kind of is. I know Mike Gills is. I know Jason himself, Mr. Prime there is. So, Randy, I guess I got to ask you, are you a professional wrestling fan?
Yeah.
You know what? I used to watch only heavyweight boxing.
Used to just who's your guy? Who's your big guy that you followed every fight?
I followed Muhammad Ali when I was a kid, and then a little later I was into Tyson. But then I kind of got burnt out on Tyson winning every 30 seconds. It's like you get all ready and you're going to the fight. And if you turned around and looked around, the fight was over. So that kind of got old.
Yeah, we were just talking about BJ Penn. When I was growing up, Mike Tyson was obviously like the guy, mid '90s, just doing his tear. But we were just talking about BJ Penn and like watching somebody fall from grace. Growing up, we got to watch that Mike Tyson fall from grace happen in real time. So I'm gonna circle it back real quick. Is just you hope BJ Penn can find a way to have like that hangover cameo second part of his career where it relaunches him. Yeah, that's at least what I'm hoping for anyway. The black box pay-per-view days are over. Now, he was saying like the old 30-second fights. I remember growing up, my dad would always have a bunch of people over for those fights. We'd fill the entire house up. 30 seconds later, boom, everybody's done.
Dude, that black box. But if you had that black box was huge back in the day. If you had that pirated black box and you got the pay-per-view Fury because you didn't give a damn.
Right.
Yeah, but usually if you had the black box, it would be the code would change mid-fight, and you had to call, give me the new code, man, and my box stopped working.
And then the cable company goes on TV and threatens you like, hey, if you have that black box, you better turn that in. That was like the 1990s version of Dana White going, you better not stream us.
Yeah, see, I never had the black box, by the way. None of my family was ever into combat anything, so we had Bears games, and that's about it.
Here in the Philippines.
What's up?
I'm sorry, I'm over talking.
No, it's fine. I'm trying to relay the chat as we're going, which gets a little tricky. As you know, obviously you have quite the big channel of people hopping in and trying to give questions and stuff like that, trying to hit everybody when you also have several people talking at the same time. It's a little bit of a juggling act, as I know you experience. And obviously your channel is much bigger than ours, but if you would, can you shout out what your channel is listed as? Because anyone in here interested in you, if they could hop on yours.
I'm just a random general channel. I have no schedule. I have no brand. It's just me popping up throughout the day, the afternoon. You never know. And just saying, hey, what's up? I'm over here doing this. Mine is more like the Truman Show, Just tune in. What am I doing right now? I have no real chart. I don't know what's going on. You guys are organized, you're planned, and you're professional. I'm a random broadcaster. Just boom, what's happening?
Sorry, just got me thinking about the Truman Show. We are a very movie reference centric podcast, so
true.
I got a bunch of things going through my head right now. I'm just imagining you doing your show and a light crashes down from the ceiling. It's just, I don't know, craziness. But
something of that nature, exactly.
Well, we absolutely very much appreciate you hopping in. Is there anything you would like to throw our way, or are you just happy to pop in and say hi, which is obviously much appreciated?
I see you guys. It'd be neat to see you guys cover some international events, throughout different countries. Maybe one day a week, go to Brazil on your live channel and talk about what's going on in Brazil or what's happening in the Philippines. Like I was trying to say earlier, the Philippines is like your boxing, cage fighting capital of the world. These guys are really into it, but I don't think they broadcast enough about it.
Mm-hmm. So you want to see us cover some of the smaller local events for international wise, especially like Southeast Asia.
Yeah, some of the Asian fights are pretty good. I know it's kind of hard to watch the Asian guys fight because it kind of looks like children slapping each other, but they're serious.
But I don't know, who was the World War II general who was in the Philippines? Was it MacArthur? I think we could have a MacArthur boxing segment. We'll just throw that up.
There you go. That's great.
John MacArthur was awarded all types of different special ceremonial hats and insignia in the Philippines, and he started wearing said ethnic hat in certain Navy, Air Force type situations, which his underlings and peers didn't quite appreciate because he was listed as supreme ruler in there of the Navy. So they didn't go so well on the other side. But
that's a cool title, though.
That's a nice title. Yeah, I'd like to have that title. Supreme fighting leader of the blah blah blah. Yeah.
I wonder if that Twitter handle's taken.
If you have it long enough, it might it's sometimes it's a matter of as long of a name as you could possibly pull off there, and then it's less likely someone's going to take it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just wanted to come in and show my support for you guys. Everybody who's watching, these gentlemen put out a great show. You should subscribe now while you can.
Oh, thank you, sir.
We appreciate you, Randy.
What do they follow now? They follow just the MMA Money Show, or what?
Yeah, if you follow that, or we're hooking up a HAPS team of all of us on there. So if you follow the show, you'll get any content we add to it and anything that the show does.
Stammer was saying his co-worker is an ex-boxer from Saudi Arabia. Whoop whoop. You know, my father was a boxer in the Navy. He was a mean old boy. He actually did quite well.
So was my grandfather. That's cool.
Yeah. My dad was a pretty popular Navy boxer in his day.
Awesome.
I wonder if they knew each other. I just my grandfather was, I'm assuming a similar age. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they knew each other.
Yeah, my dad's in mid-80s, so if he's mid-80s, you never know.
My grandfather, he died years ago, but he would be about that right now. Yeah. So.
All right, that's great.
I'm going to do some research on this. We're going to come back next week and found out that they went to war for 10 rounds against each other.
Yeah, we're going to find out you're actually my stepbrother.
Yeah.
The resemblance is uncanny, actually.
Right?
All right, guys, I'm going to step down and go into the comments. You guys can see MMA Money Show at
Thank you very much.
MMAforMoney Show. They've been up. Follow these guys. Get into the thing. Hello, Jackie. How are you? Sorry, gentlemen. I'm going to abuse your comments for just a second.
It's completely understandable.
Abuse women are beautiful. Whoop whoop. Jackie girls here, and you guys know Miss Jackie.
Oh, absolutely.
Johnny, British Spy, Lynn. There's so many folks here. I'm sorry I missed your name, but I'm going to go hide into the comments with you folks, and let's let these guys continue their show. I see your number really climbed up all of a sudden. Whoop whoop. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome on that. So everybody, don't
morning.
let the opportunity pass you. Make sure you follow. If you don't follow, it's a sin, and you may go to hell.
I am not I do not condone damnation for not watching the show, but sure.
I do.
You do. Okay, got it. Awesome. Hey, we already got a couple new subscribers hopping in because of you, so very much appreciate that. Thanks for hopping in. We are going to transition from that. Thank you, Randy Horton, for hopping in. That was huge. Help us got some big numbers on that one. Going for a little challenge. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for Mel M throwing in the Got Talent Award and Lynn for the Super Hard Award. That is fantastic. We got 1.3K right now watching live. A lot of that came over from Randy. Thank you so much. About 442 just from Haps, which is way past what we need, but we are still going to go just for a little bit longer. Boom, another person subscribed. Thank you very much. We want to do a quick overview of how this show became the show for all the new people happening. Another subscriber. Thank you, Benedict Sevilla at @whore_watcher. Very much appreciate that. That is awesome. Thank you for that $5 world there, Lynn. That nailed it. I love that. I love that. So we hit what we need to hit, but we still have to go over a few things. This is probably going to be somewhat of a lightning round that we're going to hit. The first section is just going to be me reading it off. I know you're probably getting sick of my voice, and then we're just going to do a little bit between the three of us, and then I'll sign out for the night, and you'll be able to come back to our actual show every Tuesday night at 7 Central, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. That was off the top, and apologize if that's wrong. But quickly, we're going to go into how little history facts discussion so you guys know how did the MMA for Money show get its name. That's the first one. MMA for Money show is named after @MMA4Money. He's there in the chat if you want to talk to him himself. Jason Jarillo, who is a Las Vegas odds maker and current sportsbook director with over 20 plus years of experience in the casino industry. He was one of the first people in the world to make odds for the UFC. He also gave out winning picks online for 18 of those 20 years, 100% for free, in order to help people make money that he did. From card payments to mortgage payments, Disney trips are all things he's seen people thanked for. Like I've seen people thank him for all these things through the years. Another way MMAforMoney, that's @MMAforMoney, Mr. Primetime himself, decided to give back to the industry was this very show. In 2013, Jason created the MMA4Money team. If you've seen us tweet that out, if you haven't, I don't understand what rock you're under, but you've seen us tweet that out. In order to mentor and teach odds making, statistical modeling, line watching, etc. Once again, for free. For like, if you ask, that's where Real Mike came up, a Tippy in our chat, a bunch of other guys all came up from that. Which then, in 2019, spun off into this show, the MMA4Money show. Jason wanted to utilize his name and his bankroll in order to put a spotlight on people in this industry who had a ton of talent and true deep down passion for MMA. But we didn't have a large name. He's talking about us. We didn't have a large name, either in the industry or online itself. We've only been doing this live format for about 2.5 months roughly, but we are very thankful to have found Haps. This has just been wonderful. Haps has exploded for us more so than any other platform we've been on, and we thank everyone on the Haps team. We want to thank Peter and Pablo, Mark and David, Lucia, Brett, Drew, and everyone else in the Haps team. We've seen them hop in our chat all the time, helped us out anytime we had any issue. They made this platform a reality. It's just been crazy. And I just want to tell you guys all that, just base information for the MMA for Money show. And then next up, I want to tell you about how the show started from our view. Okay, so I want Real Mike, how did the MMA for Money show itself start for you? Because I wasn't there on your very first show when you hopped in, so because reasons. But tell me how you hopped in.
We're talking about the original, the show before this, the real show. Like
let's go with this show.
So the one with you and me, or the one with
go with you and me.
Okay, this show,
the deep cut one, people have to pay for. That one will be on Patreon in years to come.
I guess for a few years before Bob and I got together, or before this show, Bob and I were sharpening our weapons on random podcasts here and there, and just kind of showing off our love for the MMA and stuff like that. And then, MMA for Money Prime reached out to me, knowing that my brother, was a War Machine, former Lions Den fighter, also fought with Phil Brony at Vegas Couture, Extreme Couture, and a bunch of other places. And so he, asked me to come along because he knew that I, could handle myself pretty professionally on the microphone. I know I can get off the handle sometimes, but sometimes it's on purpose. But he wanted me to come in and just be an analyst for the MMA side of it, because I've done wrestling and jiu-jitsu, and I can see, I've been in the backstages of these events. I know a lot of the camps. Eric Del Fiero over at Alliance MMA. Barry Yoshida, one of the best grapplers in the world. Our sensei was Master B over at the arena in San Diego. Just stuff like that. I just knew that my connections were deep enough, and I knew some inside training secrets. Like I have one about Corey Sandhagen that I'll give out soon enough. Because I just found out he came down to Sandy to do some real training. And so just stuff like that. And so I was honored to just be called by MMA for Money, just to help him out and start this show and get it going, because he's just, I met Prime watching him on Twitter. I would watch him just give out NASCAR picks. And I flag stuff in my brain, whether it's I'm training technology for investments, or whether I'm training a patient when I was on the ambulance, or whatever it is. I'm always like trending things and flagging it. And the more I see it, the more that I kind of like it triple flags, and I'm more aware to it. So I'd see him always winning on these NASCAR picks. Like he'd pick 3 racers, and almost every damn time he would win like $1,000. And I'd be like, oh my God, dude, I started betting on him. And so they were free picks. And so, dude, went from there. We got really close. He started mentoring me in cryptocurrency, and thank God I got into Bitcoin and stuff back in like 2016 when it was fairly cheap. And so we've been big into investing. I always recommend that everyone that has a chance to put 10% of their what they make each month, their salary, into some kind of investment, whether it's cryptocurrency or stocks. Please invest so you can change your life. Otherwise, you're going to be the small guy forever. And I know that feels living paycheck to paycheck as an EMT. Didn't like it. Either way, Prime's mentored me so far in life between the cryptocurrency, betting, and all things. We got here on the MMA for Money show now with Bob. Stoked to be here with such a professional person as Bob. And then I met Mikey Gills randomly. Bob had to miss a show. And once Bob had to miss a show, I'm super fucking picky. And he threw out a bunch of names. And I was like, nope.
I threw out 3 names. 3.
There was more than 3, bro. It was like I felt like I was. It was like I was. The girls were asking me the prom, bro. There's just too many. So either way, so it was 3, and so Mikey Gills was one of the ones that I felt like had it. And then so we brought him in to join the trio, not full time yet at that moment, but he brought him in. I saw he had it officially as the DraftKings guy, and so that now we get into Mikey.
Well, I just want to say thank you, Real Mike, for not only covering the first question, but covering the second question that we were going to get.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's okay. No, it's okay. It's okay. They led into each other. I understand, but that's why it was hard to break that part down. But I'll give my 2 cents in a second. Quick, I want to give a shout out. Thank you, Lynn, for hopping in. I know you just recently hopped in for our show. That's a huge $5 reward. Thank you so much for that. Everyone else hopping in, thank you. I know we got another one here from Randy for the Great Reporting Award. Thank you so much. Throw even more than that. Tippy's, not to Team Money's even here throwing him. We're just getting. Wow, this is a very profitable show. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Randy, for hopping in for that. And again, thank you to the 1.8K we got now. We got over 1,200 people here live on from Periscope and over 500 hopping in just straight here on Haps. By all means, feel free to hop in and subscribe. We try to keep talking as much as you can. Questions coming in. That will for sure happen going forward, especially in the normal show format. Obviously, this is not normal show format. So thank you everyone for hopping in. In terms of how the show started, like Real Mike made a good point. A lot of us were doing random podcasts. Like I basically, it's hard for me to say because some of them don't even exist anymore, but I was kind of a serial podcast guest before this show happened. I think I was on at least 10, some of which still exist or in different iterations. I was on James Lynch's old show, Parting Shot, before he left and started his own thing. I was on the first episode of Best Fight Picks with Best Fight Picks, Daniel Levy, and did a bunch early on in there. Actually, the first one I did was with James Lynch for UFC 189, and then a few others spattered in there. Like I always, probably every like 6 weeks, I would hop on one of them, and then eventually that turned into this, like an actual show that we were part of. And the Mikey Gills thing happened crazy because like I was just not going to be able to do a show one week, and we used to find one time Prime was able to hop in when we needed him, and few other people, but like we needed something, and there were 3 people that I threw out there. No matter what Real Mike says, there was 3 people. I could list them all right now, but there was 3 people. One of which, the one who I knew the best out of the 3, wasn't comfortable doing it because he's kind of like not walked away from MMA, but he doesn't watch it as diligently as he does now. And I had talked to Mikey Gills, I think a few weeks before that point, and he had said that he listens to the show. So I was like, okay, well, he's knowledgeable at MMA and he knows the format. This could be perfect. And then utterly shocked in the best possible way when I watched the show live that they were on, and he had so much info about DraftKings. And that's something that I know very little about, and Real Mike knows very little about. So if you can it's a new foil to the show that we didn't have before, which was fantastic. And then we talked, I think that week, about first him coming in and just doing a little 5-10 minute segment for DraftKings. But we're like, you know what? I mean, he has a good just MMA take. He should just be integrated into the show in terms of everything. But that's basically what happened. I gave 2 to 3 names to Real Mike. He was most comfortable with the Mikey Gills one, which turned out to be fantastic. And then we all collectively agreed. And yes, it took probably another 2 months after that, but he got his own animation in there with the amazing pocket watch. So
shout out to my younger brother Brooks for really campaigning for that. So
yeah, well, it's perfect. So,
yeah, we love you, Brooks. I'm a big fan, bro. Big
exactly.
fan.
Well, so the next question for this was going to be how Mikey Gills joined the show in 3 angles. Well, we got 2 angles of it. Yeah. So I guess we'll get Mikey Gills' take on how he just happened to be on this show and then how it stuck.
So I guess we'll start off with the few weeks before that I did the show and I was talking to you. I actually came to you. I saw you advertising your podcast. I followed you for I don't know how long without even knowing that you had a show. Like I had no idea whatsoever.
In the early goings, we were bad at advertising it because it wasn't to this quality yet, so we didn't advertise it as much.
So
yeah, like now I'm proud to show everybody this quality. I'm like, hey, bro, you see how professional we are now? And they're like, holy shit, what the fuck happened from that to that? Now we go, I don't know.
Well, for me personally, like I don't know. Before I did the show, I didn't have a personal relationship with Bob or Mike or Jay. Like, nobody really knew who I was. So when Bob asked
we just talked a little bit on Twitter. You gave me some great music advice when I was training for my last marathon.
Oh yeah,
I stalked Mikey Gill's brother Brooks before I met him, I guess.
Well, quick
guy. Good-looking guy.
I really appreciate you talking. We're going to go back to you talking. But recent past guests of the show, literally about 15, 20 minutes ago, Randy Horton in the broadcast, great broadcaster award for $10. Thank you so much, man. That really does a lot. Really appreciate that. So, Mike Gills, go on.
Yeah, so when you asked me, I wasn't sure how much you knew about me or my history as far as like anything related to entertainment or MMA.
I was a pleasant surprise as well.
Yeah, so just a little background on myself. Years ago, over a decade ago, I had a running show on the Insane Clown Posse's radio network, W Fuck Off Radio. It was with my old band that I used to be in. And it was like an actual like band, not like a garage band. We toured around, we did national tours, all that stuff. And we had our own show called the Wolfpack Super Deluxe Fun Time Variety Hour, which still airs to this day, just without me on it. The last time I did that show was back in 2017. A lot of people are familiar with the Juggalo March. It was kind of funny because Randy kept saying whoop whoop, and I really wanted to jump in there with an Insane Clown Posse reference when he said it. But the last episode that I did for that, the one that I thought you might know from, is I was the official broadcaster of the Juggalo March. We held the radio for the entire Juggalo March all day long, 10 straight hours. We almost got Luke Thomas on it. I was back and forth with him on Twitter that day. But as far as everything else that I do, I'm also professional. I don't do it all the time, but I've done professional wrestling refereeing, professional wrestling commentary, MMA commentary. Every single year I do a tournament. It travels around the country. It's called the Wolfpack Bare Knuckle Boxing Tournament. And I've done commentary for that a number of times. Shout out to Juggalo John Cena, the reigning champion. But one day I just get a DM out of the blue from Bob asking me if I wanted to do the show. And sure. I had no idea what you knew, but then he throws me the wrinkle and says, okay, well, I'm not going to be on the show. This other guy,
this fucking psychopath that, his brother's even crazier. He's in jail for life. Yeah, you're going to be on with him.
Okay,
but dude, you're not crazy in that comparison. So, like, if I would give him that heads up, he may think worse.
Let me get to that, because that's a wrinkle. So I had to deal with that live on the show. I meet Mike through the app, whatever, like about 10 minutes before we go to air, and I studied my ass off for that card. I love MMA. I watched every episode. We get about, 15 minutes into the show live, and he throws out that his brother is War Machine. And this is literally like my reaction on the show. I was like, oh, yeah, okay. Because I've listened to the show a number of times, and I don't know. I just either didn't pick up on it, or it
doesn't come up every show. It used to come up more frequently. But.
Yeah, we don't. Well, I just don't throw it out there because it's not. It's like it's not. It really isn't relevant other than the MMA experience I saw before me. It used to be more fun when he was a good fighter and not in jail and an idiot, But it is what it is. You make mistakes, and he's doing great, and got Jesus now. So for him, he needed that.
Yeah, but so anyway, we do the show. We knocked it out of the park. No offense, Bob. I thought me and Mike had like a really good episode.
You had chemistry. It was electric. I was looking by Lake Michigan, just looking at the phone, and be like, they're gonna kick me out.
Like Mike was obviously joking when he said it, but when the show was over, he quipped. He's like, Bob, who? Like that. But no, so I had to go on vacation the next week with my family, but you guys had said a few things like, oh, well, maybe we can bring you back for another little thing, blah, blah, blah. And I was like trying to play it cool, but I really wanted to do it. And I was like, oh, yeah, well, if you need me, whatever. And then I came back, we did what you talked about with the DraftKings thing. And then the next week after that, it was, why don't you just do the entire show? And since then, I mean, we're going on 4 or 5 months now, doing it with you guys, and I'm having a blast. I love doing it every week. It's a lot of fun. And as far as just getting to just the DraftKings portions of it, I think that's a really valuable thing for the show. You guys handle the betting. I don't do any actual sports betting. I only do DraftKings. So it works out for everybody, but I'm having a blast.
No, it worked out absolutely great. And obviously, I want to give a shout out to even more people throwing out awards and gifts here. Broke the 2K mark. What's up? Sorry. We got the Safe Award from Ryan. He's thrown out a bunch in there. Obviously, we've always joked that Ryan Richards, Mr. Kick Your Bass, Sugar Daddy, check out his content, Mr. Wonderful Fisherman that he is. And thank you, Jackie Girl. We appreciate you too. And yes, Mel M, another high award. I really appreciate that. And Vince Guzman just killing it in the comments there. I very much appreciate that. And we got all these people hopping in. Thanks to Randy and subscribing to the show. Very much appreciate that. I had another one in here, but we don't really need to get into that one. That was just going to be if we were strapped for time, which as obviously you can show, we don't usually get strapped for time and need secondary things. Usually we elongate as much as possible. Obviously, we were almost well over twice what we originally thought this show was going to be. So this particular episode. So before I give our sign off, which is going to be a little bit different this week, and explain how things are going to be going forward, I just want to give anyone, either of you two, if you want to give a final sign off, since Mike Gills was able to wax poetic. Most recently, Real Mike, anything you want to say to the people, these awesome people in our chat before we go?
No, just appreciate each and every one of you. Always wish the best for your families. And like I said, just like my mentors taught me, try to invest 10% of your paycheck into some kind of stock or something that you trust and watch things grow down the road.
I don't really have a sign off so much, so I'll just say I think Edge is going to be one of the first 2 participants in the Rumble tonight. I think he's going to Iron Man it, Rick Martel, Ric Flair style. I think he's going to go.
Oh no, 1 second, pause. Sorry, I completely forgot. Okay, so I'll give you you have 3 to 4 minutes to give me a Royal Rumble breakdown if you want.
Oh no, that was my really.
Okay, sorry.
I can go over a bunch of matches, but
you wanted to go into that. I just realized all of a sudden we get carried away and we're getting more strapped for time because we wanted to be about a half hour and no more than an hour, and we're getting close to that. So I wanted to. So if you got anything else you want to give for that, I could knock out this outro in like a minute. So if you have a little bit to go, you can.
No, I just think Goldberg, Drew McIntyre is going to happen, and it would not surprise me one bit to see WWE shoot themselves in the foot again and have Goldberg win it, because that's just the worst move. It's the worst idea ever, and that's what they specialize in.
Goldberg. Don't ever disrespect my dude Goldberg again, dude. He is the best. There's always will be. I don't want to hear nothing. He's better win.
I grew up on Goldberg. I love Goldberg, but the man is 50 years. He almost killed The Undertaker a year ago. He dropped him right on his head. He almost killed him. So, don't let that guy win. But WWE is horrible. They don't know how to make stars anymore. They've been trying with Roman Reigns forever. They finally almost have him. It would be the most WWE thing ever to have him lose tonight. So I'm just throwing that out there.
Goldberg's defense, Undertaker's huge.
Yeah. Okay. What?
It's also professional wrestling. So I'm just going to move past that point and realize, and Mikey Gills, I'm going to throw this out too. You don't have to, but I assume you're watching the Royal Rumble tonight, right?
Yes.
If at any point you want to hop on Haps, and if anybody wants to hop on his thing on Haps for at least a little bit, it doesn't have to be a whole thing. Just if you have any reactions, you can hop in on that, because obviously you're going to speak more of that if I want to.
I don't know if I can do the Haps tonight. I will be on Twitter for sure.
Okay, well then follow him on Twitter at Mikey Gills, and we'll get him doing that stuff going forward. Obviously, we're working on a Haps team situation where all of our stuff will appear under the MMA4Money Show Haps channel that you guys could hop into. And quick, before I even hop into the final segment, again, we broke 2K here. That's fantastic. Thank you for the 685 people watching on Haps and the 1340 on Periscope. YouTube, I don't know what your issue with just one person, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. That doesn't even matter. But thank you everyone in this chat, and everyone that we got another 5 or 6 subscribers in here. So that is awesome. Over 28 awards. The first people we want to thank this week is Randy W. Horton, at Randy W. Horton. He's in the chat still. He hopped on with us. Thank you for at Michael Bathurst. That's BATHURST, and at Mel_M8 right there as our top commenter. Thank you so much. Those are their names on Haps. If you want to subscribe to their channels, they've shouted us out. We're shouting them out. We're going to keep this going. It's going to be like a Haps Friends segment at the tail end. But you can find this show on Haps. If you're watching live there, you know that. You can watch us on Twitch, listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Pocket Cast, RSS feed, whether it be live on YouTube or live on Periscope, whichever way you want to hop on. That's just the RSS feed. We have the full-length shows on YouTube. So don't subscribe. You'll never miss a show. Like, comment, share, spread the word, everything you want to do. You can subscribe on all those platforms as well. We will be back, technically next week, but we'll be back on Tuesday. We'll be breaking down UFC Vegas 18, Overeem versus Volkov. We are there at 8 Central, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. That time I think I actually nailed it. I'll actually have to write that stuff down. Thank you, Randy, for throwing in all those extra awards at the end. This is also much appreciated. Like, comment, share, spread the word. And with that, let's roll. Johnny Tsunami.